Sunday, 15th of March 2020, disaster struck at Abuja in Lagos, claiming 20 lives. Details surrounding the cause of the incident are still sketchy, and relevant agencies are still battling hard to fix the pieces left by the disaster. Buildings, structures, and businesses might be fixed, but not lives, as this further raises questions on the alarming rate at which pipeline explosion and fire outbreak occur in Lagos. The bone of contention here is the proximity of some of these national crucial installations like pipelines and tank farms in residential areas. And on Panorama, we will be x-raying issues relating to pipeline right-of-way and the regulations on distance of buildings from highly inflammable infrastructure. I am Dotun Okuyemi. We'll be right back. Reports just reaching us indicates that Nigeria now has a new case of COVID-19. According to the Minister of Health, Dr. Usagi Ehanire, the new patient who is independent of the index case is a 30-year-old woman who returned from the United Kingdom on the 13th of March. She has been observing self-isolation before developing symptoms associated with the disease, while a coronavirus test has confirmed her status. She is presently receiving treatment at the mainland hospital, Yaba.
A respiratory etiquette, which has been repeatedly advised. The federal government of Nigeria will make further announcements later today. The Federal Ministry of Health continues to carry out the necessary risk assessments on a daily basis. The National Emergency Operations Center and partners will work with Lagos State Health Authorities in their response. It is important to note that many people who are infected with coronavirus may experience only mild symptoms and recover without incident. Of great concern are those with existing underlying medical conditions and also our senior citizens who are known to be more vulnerable. We strongly advise that these citizens stay more at home.
In the meantime, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State has formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the gas explosion that rocked parts of Lagos State, leaving in its wake the destruction of lives and valuable property. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Mr. President was very gracious to receive me and to ask me about where we are and what has happened.
Armed with various pictures on the unfortunate Sunday morning incident in Abuja, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu showed President Muhammadu Buhari the extent and the level of destruction suffered by Lagosians as a result of the gas and pipeline explosion, which he described as better imagined. He told the president that a high-powered committee led by the deputy governor of the state has been set up to come up with full report on the immediate and remote causes of the incident, what can be done to avert future occurrence, as well as set up an emergency relief fund in aid of the victims.
For a 2 billion fund that we believe might not speak to all of the things, but at least it will begin to speak to all of the immediate challenges. And the state government immediately have instructed that 250 million naira should be set aside and put into that fund. Before I left too, I had given instruction that Loma, Neighborhood Watch, and also LASEMA, they've immediately set in motion a cleaning up exercise, because we now need to begin to do restoration and restoration of the entire environment. So that, I imagine, had started now, so that we can begin to bring back some element of normalcy back to those communities.
Describing the incident as unprecedented in Lagos State, Governor Sanwo-Olu said his administration will henceforth be firm and fair on matters relating to public safety and security. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The Abuja Soba disaster has left a deep scar on the lives of residents and unparalleled wreckage. The Lagos State government is, however, making efforts to lessen the pain and give succor to victims. Jennifer Igwe reports that a 2 billion naira Abuja Soba Relief Fund has been instituted by the Lagos State governor.
The persistent fire at the point of the pipeline where the explosion occurred has been finally put out by firefighters. The impact and trauma of the explosion, however, are not over for many affected by the disaster. Mama Bola wails uncontrollably as she searches for her daughter who works at the Bethlehem High School that was completely destroyed by the explosion. Back from the hospital, Victor Eze narrates how he narrowly escaped death after the impact of the explosion flung him several buildings from where he resides.
Calling my wife to come out, before I heard a noise. And when I heard a noise, then I get myself over there. I thought my wife is gone because the weight is terrible.
To assist victims overcome their harrowing experiences and challenges associated with the disaster, the state government has instituted the Abuja Soba Relief Fund with a promise to put 250 million naira with immediate effect into it.
This is certainly beyond what the state government can undertake on its own. This is beyond what the government, be it at the national or state, can also overtake at its own. So I'm aware that some of my fellow governors have called, and I've received phone calls from the private sector. And so what this fund will do is to give everybody the opportunity to be part of it and to be able to donate into it.
The state government has also commenced testing of structures in the area to ascertain their conditions for safety. Those weak will be pulled down and work would commence soon on those that need reconstruction. The governor emphasized that buildings on pipeline right-of-way that contravene setback laws would be demolished. One thing is pertinent, and that is the fact that this unprecedented disaster could have been avoided, and the committee set up by the Lagos State government has a 2-week target to establish the cause of the disaster and come up with modalities to ensure that devastation of this nature does not occur again. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Well, Jennifer Igwe, who has been monitoring the pathetic incident, is still at Abuja to give us an update. Hello, Jenny. What is the situation today? Well, we will link up with Jennifer much later on the news to give us an update on the situation. Well, joining me live in the studio to talk more on this is the Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, Sariki Awalu. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
All right. You definitely have been briefed about what is happening and you've seen the reports. What are the specifications and regulations guiding installation of pipelines? And we're aware that they are passing through communities, especially those ones. And in this particular incident, what went wrong?
Okay. The specification for the setting up of pipeline, it starts with getting the right of way. Anybody or company that intends to establish pipeline, the first thing is to acquire the right of way. When you acquire the right of way, you come to DPR, we give you permit to survey the right of way. And this acquisition, you must pass through state government. You as the owner acquire the line, survey it, then you bring it back to DPR. Then we look at that route to confirm that that route is okay for the line to be laid. And there is a buffer, that is the pipeline corridor, in which you, the owner of the pipeline, you are supposed to own it, and you have to confirm to us that you own the line and you have no objection from the community, from the state government, and from any claim that that right of way and that corridor belongs to somebody or somebody has claim on it. That is the first stage. What went wrong? When you have this permit to survey, you now submit to us how do you intend to construct the line, what kind of line service that line is going to perform. Then we issue you OPLL. This OPLL is predicated on issuance of approval to construct and also design in which you design the line. Along the way, the license that is OPLL is oil pipeline license. For you to operate that, there is a condition in which every year you have to now bring about integrity monitoring and checks. So DPR provide soft solution by putting condition on the pipeline license. So every pipe that needs to be operated, every year you need to show us what integrity plan or integrity monitoring program you have on that line. So what is going wrong? Most of the lines, when the owners of the line set the line, they seldom come back on that integrity. Some lines, the license has expired because it's something that you renew. A renewal of the license brings DPR to the fore to know which among the line is even being operated, because we don't expect company to operate a line that is not licensed. So our own is to encourage companies that do have the license to operate to come and renew their license, and communities, they should desist from encroaching the right of way.
I was going to come to that, because the major issue seems to be encroachment. How do we now begin to address this issue? Is it from the policy angle, or does it have to be a matter that needs to be taken up by pipeline owners, like you mentioned?
I think two ways that are very clear. When a line passes through a community, there are two ways to really protect that line or the line corridor from encroachment. One is barricade. You can barricade it, and it's all a function of cost. You barricade the line, that is the corridor, by building a wall or fence in which you disallow access to that five-line corridor. Second, you do horizontal directional drilling, in which you bury the line very deep in such a way that it is impossible for anything to really touch the line, because you bury it more than like 50 feet down. So these are the two main technical solutions for lines passing through communities. And even with that, you have to really maintain the line corridor. But above all, actually, is education and awareness, because these lines are carrying highly inflammable and dangerous liquids, and people really take it for granted. And if the line is weak, whenever anything heavy on it, definitely it will collapse, because these lines are made of carbon steel. They corrode, they eat up, and they get weak. So anything that will come and with source of ignition, it's just a time bomb, and the unfortunate incident will continue to happen.
Now, that being said, what would your agency be doing differently in light of this recent incident? We have communities severally across the country where we have structures already built on gas installations and pipelines. What would be done differently to, is it evacuate now these buildings, remove the people and the structures?
So just as I said, what we do, having recorded this, a lot of unfortunate incidences, the total line that carries product in Nigeria is around 5,000 kilometers, and the total pipeline with gas and crude is around 9,000, which makes it around 10,000 or 11,000, which the total kilometer of pipe is 16,000. So we are encouraging all the pipeline operators to look at the option of either HDD, barricade, and also early warning sign. There is something that we embark upon, we latch on technology, that a smallest vibration close to any pipeline will have a signal through sensor to DPR, in which will advise the line owners that they should take action prior to it happening. Because before any impact, there is vibration. So we are latching on that technology to see if the line owners will now buy into it. What we did in DPR is to set up a new unit called Technology Qualification Unit to identify solution that will solve this issue. Because currently, communities are communities, they have to live. And this critical infrastructure, they have to be there even though the communities encourage it. So the best way is to latch on technology to see how we can keep life, because one life of Nigerian is better than the entire investment. So what we do, how do we save those lives? And how do we make this critical infrastructure safe? The loss of life that we witness in Abuja now, we can't replace it. But we are latching on technology to get all the line owners to really key into it, and we make it a benchmark, like a minimum required standard that every pipeline owner and operator must really key into it. That is what we are doing.
Thank you so much, Director of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Sariki Awalu, for that informative insight into the development. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And now we take a break. Panorama continues shortly. Don't go away.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Many thanks for staying with us. I still have with me in the studio the Director of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Sariki Awalu. Before we went on that break, there was something I was meaning to ask. We've had such similar incidents before, the Abule Egba incident and now this one. Is your agency embarking on sensitization, as it were, of the populace to know that if you build along these places, you're in danger?
In fact, what our agency is doing currently, in view of previous incidences similar to this, we create a huge sensitization team. Our public affairs unit working with communities, getting to the community, telling them that, look, you are hosting critical infrastructure, and the right of way belongs not only to the company, but to everybody. It is in the best interest of the community to maintain the right of way, not to encourage it, because the pipe there is highly pressurized. The liquid in there is highly flammable, and a pinhole is more than the speed of bullets. So it's a killer weapon, even though it's an energy that everybody requires. So we go on sensitizing the communities that are hosting this critical infrastructure in their own language, and at the same time showing them the consequence for interfering with this critical infrastructure. The right of way itself is part of the critical infrastructure, in addition to the line, because it's the line corridor that will carry the pipe. And in you've identified a lot of that, and action has been taken to the right organization. We are working with the right government agencies to report these activities, especially for those that cause many of these things that happen. You see that it is not actually from the community. Previous investigation for similar incidences, you find out that the actual community, the accident, there are people that really come. So what we enjoy is whenever you are in the community, you see somebody close to the right of way, report it. We have all channels of communication, not only to us, report to police, report to the civil defense, report to any security, because it is our infrastructure, it is our country. We need to rewrite our history. The history we are seeing now is not good for us. The only way is we want energy, we want a petroleum product to be available, we need to guard the right of way and the pipeline altogether. Yes, the pipeline is owned by NNPC. The product is owned by NNPC. We license NNPC and everybody, but Nigerians own NNPC. It is our own. So we need to protect it. We need to tell ourselves that this thing is our own. The NNPC is a government-owned company. So it is, I have share. So we DPR, we ensure that these facilities are intact. So all information and directives we give to companies, including NNPC, need to be complied with. And if you see anything that is suspicious, just report to the authorities.
Now let's quickly go back to this recent incident in Abuja. How safe are people in the area? Because we know that this one pipeline connects several other communities. Is there any cause for alarm, and what is your agency doing as regards